Welcome back to the post-game spread. Here are a few words from our sponsors before we get rolling. We are also brought to you by Josh Badman of Radon Fighters. He can be reached at 217-823-9536. This is a great guy. He's my fellow firefighter. Use post-game spread as a code to save $25 on a radon inspection. If you're buying a home or just want peace of mind for radon in your house, please give Josh a call. He was the standout player at Morrisonville back in the day and then played at SCI for Coach Tor in the early 2000s. Go see Radon Fighters. This episode is being brought to you by Eric Easley of the Easley Real Estate Team with the Real Estate Group. This team consists of Eric, Jamie Murphy, and Caitlin Fry. They can be reached at 217-971-3256 or at theeasleysalesteam.com. Eric was a standout quarterback and shortstop at Southeast back in the mid-90s and later starred at Western Illinois in baseball. Also one of the best umpires around this area for many years, teaming up with Bobby Erickson. He sold houses for all kinds of baseball dudes in the area. The Knadler brothers, Justin and Jason, Ryan Murphy, Todd Schneller, the Savota family. And when it was time for Corey to sell his house and buy his new house, there's only one place he went. That's Eric Easley and the Easley Real Estate Team. So go see these guys for all your real estate needs. We really appreciate you. We are also brought to you by Sitco Chiropractic. They can be reached at 217-525-2035 and sitcochiropractic.com. They offer chiropractic care, corrective exercises, lifestyle advice, nutritional counseling, spinal and postural screenings. They are located at 205 North Grand Avenue. Love the Sitco family. From the dad, Steven, to Kyle and Casey, I grew up with them. Their brother Tyler was a big-time baseball player at SHG and SCI. There's a reason they have over 70 ratings on Google, and they're all 5.0. These guys are great. I went to them a few years back for some back issues I was having. They'll fix you right up. Go see Sitco Chiropractic. We are also brought to you by Jared Washko of Washko Strength and Speed, located at 3604 North Peoria Road, 217-899-3233, washcostrengthandspeed.com. I think Jared is the premier trainer for youth athletics in the Springfield area, specifically baseball and softball. He is on it, from his training modalities to his throwing programs to speed to getting stronger to getting faster. The proof is in the pudding. Jared cranks out athletes at high levels that go on to the collegiate levels. Go see Jared for all your strength and speed needs. Guys, here real quick. This is the post-game spread. I am your host, Blake Helm. This is our new series, Touch 'Em All, where I'm going back and talking to just awesome baseball guys, right? And it's all questions, and we're going to riff off that. And so one of the first people that I thought of when I thought of doing this was Tyler Owen. It's a teammate of mine at Murray State, an all-time baseball guy, a high-level thinker. I know you had your ups and downs in your career. Let me run through a little bit of your stuff. You went to North High School in Evansville, Indiana. Went on to have a really strong career at Murray State from 06 to 09, earning freshman All-OVC, second team All-OVC in 07 and 08. I always do this. This is going to be funny for me. I always talk a little bit about how I know these guys, how I know the guests. And I'm going to start. I've got a couple things I wanted to touch on with you. I'm going to start wholesome, and then I'm going to end weird. So here we go. The first one was, you're one of the reasons that I came to Murray State. I think I shared this with you when we were doing a Wes Cunningham story, and it was awesome reconnecting with you and just, going through it. And Tyler Pittman and Jamie Lightoff were the guys that, kind of took me around or whatnot. But I remember going to some bar. I think there was some sort of karaoke going on. I'm not sure which bar it was, but you were super nice to me. And, I looked you up, so you're a freshman. T. Pitt was kind of the guy on the team, right, at that time, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Right. And I was like, man, both of these guys are just being awesome to me. And I thought, if the best player on the team and a freshman are treating me the exact same, I thought, man, this is a cool place to be. I want to be here. And we've always kind of had one of those friendships where, sometimes you have to build a friendship with someone or it takes time. I felt like as soon as I met you, I was like, oh, T.O. is my friend. Like, this is my boy. It was always just a very easy relationship, similar senses of humor, style, just how we saw stuff. We both had the passion for baseball and wanting to move forward. We probably shared some of that. Another one, so I just went back to Murray State recently, and I did a couple recaps about how special that was to me. And a funny thing, there's quite a few of us that have Dunker tattoos, right?
Oh, yeah.
I bet probably 5 or 6 of us do. Dunker being the old Murray State mascot. It's kind of retro, very, very cool looking. Anyway, we were sitting at breakfast, kind of just like shooting the shit or whatever. I'm looking over, and I hadn't seen T.O. in probably 10 years. And he's got this beautiful Dunker tattoo on left or right arm. I'm not sure which one it was, but it looks fantastic. And I've got a Dunker too, but it's like, if mine is like the Nintendo version, yours is like the PS5 high def version. Like, and then so we were laughing about that. I was like, well, yours is way better than mine. And then like 5 minutes later, we walk out to our trucks, and I love my truck. It's an 11 F-150. It's big brown, big breezy. She's my baby. But like T.O. is parked right next to me in like a jacked up F-150 with rims and tinted out. And it's just like, oh, so are you just going to be flexing on me all weekend? Is that what we're doing here? This is everything I do. You're going to do it better. And then lastly, this is, and I've laughed about this, and I even contacted you to get permission to say this, but this one has always made me laugh. And thinking about it recently made me laugh. I was like, am I going to say this on air? But I'm just going to do it. So obviously, if you're on a baseball team and you're in a locker room, you really get to know each other, right? And funny stuff happens. You see each other naked, like just you guys say off the wall stuff to each other. But so I was number 6 at Murray, and T.O. was 10, so our lockers were close. So a lot of interaction, whatnot, sitting there back and forth. And I remember, my career was kind of up and down at Murray, and sometimes I needed someone to pick me up, from time to time. And I remember just like one time, it might have been an Ofer day or a bad practice or something, but I was a little bit in my head and my feelings. And I remember T.O. just sitting there, and he was like, dude, you've got a great ass, dude, or something like that. And it just like broke the tension, and just, it like totally made my day in like a weird way. And I remember like walking out of the locker room afterwards and being like, man, really needed that one. Thanks, T.O. Like in my head.
Glad I could help out.
Yeah, glad you could help out, buddy.
Yeah.
So anyway, before we get going here, I'd love to hear a little bit about what life is like for you now with the wife and the kids and job and what you're doing. And welcome to the post-game spread, buddy. I haven't let you say a word yet.
Oh, dude, it's happy to be here. Like I've told you, I've been super excited, wanting to get on the show. I've been an avid listener. So, dude, pumped.
Yeah.
Honestly, life's been good. Wife's doing great. Gave me permission to do this tonight, so that was awesome.
Hey.
Yeah. Got 2 boys. They're 7 years old, identical twins, Ellis and Everett. So they're in that age right now where, we've started doing the, and it sounds ridiculous to even say it, but coach pitch travel ball.
Oh, wow. I've never heard those words go together.
Oh my gosh, it's nuts. But they've started that. So we actually practice tomorrow morning. They do fall workouts. So things are good. They're involved in a lot of different stuff. They've actually got flag football going on too, which they love. They're in first grade. So family life is great. Job wise, I'm teaching at North High School. So teaching at my alma mater.
Full circle.
Yeah, really has come full circle. And then also assistant baseball coach. So working under a guy that actually coached me in summer ball, like whenever I was in high school. So we got a really good thing going. Great staff over there. We've had some tremendous talent come through. Just as of late, we actually had a kid, I guess it's been 2 years now, 2 or 3 years. Cameron Decker, kid's a stud, and ended up getting drafted out of high school and signed with the Dodgers. And so he's actually playing for the Rancho Cucamonga Quakes right now. Yeah. And so he actually hit a walk-off bomb last night. So a little plug there for him.
I love that. And, it's we're friends on the social medias, and it's so touching to see your little boys thriving. I know you guys really went through it. They were born prematurely. Is that right? And you guys spent quite a bit of time in the NICU.
Yeah, the boys, we found out pretty early in the pregnancy that obviously when you have twins, it's a high risk pregnancy either way, and we ended up finding out that the boys had basically what's called twin to twin transfusion syndrome, and long story short, basically they ended up with this disease, and the disease basically their blood vessels form between the two babies in utero, and then if it's left untreated, more often times than not, you lose both babies, and they didn't really know why. And so, fortunately for us, as far as the medical field has come, they have a procedure that you can have done to correct it. And so basically it's a laser ablation surgery. They make a small incision. They go in and take this microscope and locate all the blood vessels that are connecting the two babies, and then they take this laser and kind of burn them shut. Wow. And so we actually had to have that surgery twice. The first time it didn't work. So they told us that there might be some blood vessels that they missed, but ultimately they said we can go back in and try it again. And so that was our only option. And so luckily for us, when they went back in and did it the second time, the boys started improving. So, yeah.
Man, it's just heartwarming. I remember just, obviously talking to you a little bit about it, but just seeing it and just wondering, like, what was that like going through? That must have been so heavy. It's like I said, so heartwarming to see these little boys living normal lives now and, like, playing these sports and, like, having fun. And, oh, man, just I love it, man. It's beautiful.
Definitely miracles, two miracles for sure, because, we were told on numerous occasions that, odds were not in our favor, and to kind of prepare for the worst. And, when you hear that as a parent, you're helpless because there's absolutely nothing you can do. And you're at the mercy of, what these people are telling you. And you just, kind of hope and pray for the best. So to see them where they are now, like you said, it's just crazy.
Yeah. It's amazing, dude. And can you tell us a little bit about your wife? Just a little something.
My wife's name's Cynthia. She, it's ironically, we grew up, roughly 15 miles away from each other our whole lives. I'm from Evansville. She's from Fort Branch, Indiana, which is, like I said, 15 miles north of Evansville. Didn't know her, didn't hang out with any friends that she was, associated with while we were in high school. Actually didn't meet her until I was coaching at Mid-Continent, which we'll get into later. Living in Paducah. A buddy of mine that lived in my apartment complex had a boat, and I would go out on the water with him. And it just so happened one weekend, we were getting ready to go out, and he said, yeah, man, we're going to tie up with this houseboat today and kind of hang out with them. I'm like, all right, that's cool. And he goes, to come to think of it, I'm pretty sure they're from your neck of the woods in Indiana. And I was like, all right. And so we go and tie up with this houseboat, and it's actually my in-laws. That's their houseboat now. Mm-hmm. And so obviously we tie up with them. Cynthia is not on board of the boat that day, but hung out with the parents. They were awesome, just chilled with them the whole day and left not even knowing that they had a daughter. Later down the road, same thing. I go out with a buddy. We tie up with them again. Well, this time daughter's on board. And I'm like, she's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Find out her boyfriend's on board. And I'm like, you gotta be shitting me. And, so, I'm not trying to spit any game or anything like that, but, so just kind of remained friends. And then didn't really stay in contact after that. But I think I ended up seeing her. I came home for something in Evansville and ran into her at a bar, and she was with a friend of mine that I grew up playing baseball with. And what's hilarious about this is when I went up to her, I was excited to see her because, I always thought she was cute, even from seeing her on the houseboat. Sure. She had no freaking clue who I was. No idea. And she goes, hey, you? And I'm just like, wow, she has no idea who I am.
I'm going to be your future husband.
Yeah. It's such a great first impression.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up kind of just talking after that, and, started the whole dating process, and I guess the rest is history.
Now you got this beautiful life together, man.
Absolutely.
Before we get into it, man, it's really cool to see you doing so well in life and coming full circle back to baseball, and you got your family, and I love seeing when good things happen to good people, and you are one of the good ones, my brother. So
I appreciate that, bud.
I'm thrilled. So before we get into it, a few things. This one is going to be for the boys. So there's going to be a lot of Murray State references, funny stuff. Of course, I contacted all the boys to ask them for their input. Some of the questions were wildly inappropriate, and I cannot say them. But you know how them boys do. But some of them are hilarious, and I've kind of slipped some of those in here.
All right.
And before we get going on the questions, I just wanted to say one thing about I think he'll probably listen to it, but man, I want to give a round of applause or whatever, adapt to Nico Yanko, man. Like, he's just so Nico was a quarterback and he lived above you guys at Murray State, in Murray Place?
Yeah, he lived below us.
Below us, okay, below you guys. And he was a quarterback for a time and had one of the greatest arms I've ever seen throw a football. I mean, truly special. And he's now the AD at Murray State and is just bringing in tons of money and upgrading and doing great things. And it just is really cool to see, you know, Murray State elevating and that someone, you know, one of our peers, one of our friends is behind it. Just so shout out to Nico. You're really doing it, buddy.
Keep doing big things, Nico.
Keep doing big things. All right, my man. Well, I've got 98 questions for you here. So I have no idea how long this is going to take. I told you that I would be willing to sit here with you until it's done. So I mean that. So I will sit here. It's about 7:00 Central Time. If we got to stay till 1:00, I'll do it. I don't care. Longer than that, I don't care. Anyway, all right. These questions are going to bounce all over the place on purpose. It's going to go silly, serious, you know, back and forth. So the vibe is going to be changing constantly. There is one question that I'm going to ask you here that's going to be funny in a little bit. You can plead the fifth. So that's your only question that you can plead the fifth on. I think you probably will, but let's start it off. I know you've said that you're, a fan of the show. You've listened to some. Who are some of your favorite guests and why?
So I actually knew you were going to ask that because I just listened to most recently your the Touch 'Em All with Naper.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, not Naper, Aper.
Aper. Yeah.
Man, he was phenomenal, and I think I even texted you about it. Like some of the stuff that he was talking about hit me, straight to the core because a lot of the things that he was battling when he got to professional ball, I found myself battling in college ball.
Yeah.
Especially when he talked about, basing his success in baseball, how he did in baseball was, his identity,
his worth. Yeah.
And basically would compare that to his worth. And it was just, he said it so eloquently and I never heard it, explained like that. And it just, hit me like a ton of bricks. And I'm getting the chills talking about it right now because I felt that so deeply because you and I have talked about it before, we took the good days pretty good, but then the rough days at the yard, so hard. And you took them home with you and it's just not healthy. And to hear someone else go through that, I'm not gonna say it was, refreshing, but it was just the way that he explained it. And then the way that he got over it, it was like, wow, that's amazing. So that hit me really hard. Of course, Wes Cunningham. That one was
phenomenal,
dude. That was just, it was like taking a trip down memory lane.
It was magic. I had so many former Breds come up to me and be like, man, I didn't know we needed that. That just took me back to this place of remembering all these special times and stories and brotherhood. And it was so fun being a part of that and getting to talk to all you guys and be kind of brought back into the fold. Wes was absolutely Wes, just amazing. He's like punk rock Superman. He's meathead poet. He's just the best guy and so open with his story and so introspective and unique. And it was perfect.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, he is one of the most interesting people in the world because
100%.
There's so many layers to him.
I totally agree.
People don't even know. And then when you try to explain it, they're like, hold on, this guy, like the All-American Hall of Famer, he was a punk rock skateboarder. And you're like, yeah,
I know.
So,
it's perfect.
Of course, that one, the Bo Hart one was, I mean, that one was so cool.
Yeah, I remember you texting me about that and being like, what was it? You love the line, he celebrates the game, right? Remember you saying that to me. Like I mean, that what a special line that is, right? Is there a better compliment?
Oh, literally, that's the number one thing that you could say about a ball player. Like,
Yeah.
it was something along the lines of whenever they watch him play, you can tell that he is just celebrating the game or something similar to that.
Yeah.
I probably butchered it, but
No, that was it. It was beautiful. Like I'd never heard anyone say it like that. It was Coach Steve Hertz, the former Gonzaga skipper for like 30 years. It was beautiful.
It should be like a baseball poem or something.
Right? I've never heard anyone say that before, but I definitely use that now. That was great. But yeah, Bo Hart was terrific.
Yeah. And then the Finnegan one, love that one too, just because I, kind of knew his name from obviously Carbondale. And yeah, I mean, dude, you haven't put a bad one out, so it's kind of hard. So,
well, I appreciate that, buddy. I wouldn't put it out. I wouldn't put it out if it was bad, honestly.
You got a fan, so it's
I
tough
appreciate that.
Pick just one. Those are ones that stuck out. For
sure.
For me.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Moving on. So, I'd love to hear kind of a little breakdown, and you can stop on a team if you want to, but just kind of the teams that you played on from Little League through college, and if there's like an important team that you want to sit on for a little bit, let's sit.
Yeah. I really, and it's so hard to think back now because, I'm 38 years old and I was trying to prep myself for some of these questions and
a long time ago.
Yeah. It's amazing little things that you remember, but then like a ton of shit that you don't. So, one of the only things that I remember from, I guess probably Little League, or I don't even know if it was called Little League then. It was like maybe Pony or something. Pony League. Yeah. And we were on a team that we weren't necessarily like super talented. We just had a bunch of guys that played well together and just hated to lose. And I don't think we really even expected to do a whole lot, make it far into summer baseball. And it was one of those things where it's like we kind of messed around and found ourselves going to the Zone World Series in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, wow.
And so I remember even when we won and our coaches told us where we were going, not really believing it because when you think a team's making it to that, you have some dudes. And
for sure.
Looking back, it's like we didn't have dudes. I mean, at one point in time, we had a left-handed guy playing second base. So we weren't just, a bunch of dudes, but we played hard and just hated to lose. And so we ended up getting to go to Omaha, Nebraska for the Zone World Series, played like a Davenport, Iowa team. They were really good. Played a team from, I'm trying to think where else. Played a team from Illinois that was pretty good. Played a team from Kentucky, I think, but I can't remember who we got beat by. But anyway, we ended up coming in like 5th place out of the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
And we were playing some studs.
Yeah.
And one funny thing, and it was – so my dad was one of the coaches, and then another coach, his name is Steve Tabor. Side note, Steve Tabor's son, Kyle Tabor, he was on my team growing up. He actually played basketball at IU.
Okay.
So, real big kid, super awkward, goofy when we were that age, but he was like our first baseman. But I remember Steve Tabor was the head coach. He could tell we were super nervous before our first game. And so he was like trying to lighten the mood. And so he took us out to the left field line and he goes, guys, all I can really say is I've gotten you this far. Just try not to go out there and embarrass me. All of us like cracking up, and it was like the perfect line to just
break the tension.
Yeah, break the tension and kind of loosen things up because we were terrified. I think the other team looked like a bunch of grown men, and we didn't have any facial hair. I don't even know if we had hair under our armpits, and we're playing guys with like goatees, and it was just a different baseball in that. Yeah. So that was one of the things I remember at that age. Other than that, it's like I don't remember a whole lot. I remember playing on some teams that were okay, but nothing spectacular.
That was like a core memory for you. Is that like something that would have kind of like really solidified your love and your path for baseball, like doing something like that?
Oh, for sure. And I think what made it even more I guess, memorable was because a team from Evansville, like a year after or maybe 2 years after, actually went to that and won the whole thing.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, it was kind of cool. But I remember, playing on teams that were pretty good. And I just remember, I was obsessed growing up. Like, that's all I wanted to do was, and I mean, you and I were the same boat. Like, we kind of grew up in that time frame where there wasn't travel ball. Like, they didn't have travel ball. We had all stars.
Yeah.
So, you were pretty limited to the amount of games you played. You play your regular season, and then if you were fortunate enough, you got to play for an all-star team. And then after that, you're done. And then you just moved on to the next sport.
When did you get kind of like bit by the baseball bug? Like, man, I love this. Like, this is my path. Do you remember an age or a time?
Dude, I'll be honest with you. I was obsessed with baseball from the moment I started playing, but it really wasn't my number one love.
What you got?
Dude, my main love was basketball.
Really? I didn't know that.
I was obsessed with basketball.
I remember you had a really nice jersey collection. I remember like being in your room one time and being like, "Oh my, this dude's got Larry Bird up in here," or like something. Like you had some nice jerseys up in there.
Yeah, people don't know that, but yeah, I was obsessed with basketball.
When did that switch? When did that love switch over?
It was one of those talks that I had with my dad, where he kind of was, shedding some, some reality on me, and son, you're 6 foot, you're white. You don't jump very high.
You're really good at baseball. Let's rethink what our priorities are going to be here.
So, what's funny is he actually, I played some AAU basketball, and
cool.
Yeah, and I was not ready to, give up that dream of playing, college basketball, and so my dad let me play this one whole summer / season or whatever of this AAU team. And we ended up going to a tournament in Indianapolis. There was like 75 teams there. I mean, every Division I coach in the country was going to be there. And this was, I think, my 8th grade, freshman, something like that. And I remember all the way there, I'm telling my dad, I'm like, "Dad, you wait and see. I'm going to open some eyes this weekend. Like, this is going to be a big break for me." Like, Mike Krzyzewski was going to be there, Bob Knight, Roy Williams. Like every Division I basketball coach was going to be there watching, these younger, I want to say it was freshman year, and 8th grade freshman, something like that. And the whole way there, I'm just telling him, like, this is it, dude. Like, I'm going to light it up.
I'm the one, Dad. How'd it go?
Jimmy Chitwood in the flesh right here. It didn't go well. Our very first game, we played the Indy Panthers. Greg Oden and Mike Conley were on that team.
Oh my gosh!
They beat us by
how'd that go?
Beat us by 75.
No,
dude, I ripped Mike Conley at the top of the key.
Wow!
Crossover, ripped him. At this point, I can like touch rim, but I can't dunk. I could have probably dunked like a tennis ball, maybe a softball. Yeah. So I was still in that slap the backboard phase, needless to say, Mike Conley, good ball player. I rip him. He hustles his ass back on D, pins my shit against the backboard. And I was all right, maybe this isn't for me.
Wait, did you slap the backboard and then he slapped your shit? Oh my God, that's perfect.
So just absolutely demoralizing.
Did you play basketball all the way through high school?
So I played my freshman, sophomore, and junior year. And then I started having a ton of like ankle issues, like spraining ankles. And that's the thing is I never broke an ankle, but I would sprain them to the point where, doctors and stuff were like, you would have been better off just breaking this thing. So ultimately it was like, hey, I had already signed with Murray, and it was kind of, let's take it easy. Let's, get ready for your senior year and then move on.
Okay. So. I'd love to hear about your high school career, like baseball wise, in like a nutshell. How'd that go for you? What was your progression? Like, were you playing varsity as a freshman or any of that? How'd that go for you?
So, I actually didn't go to North all 4 years. I actually started off at Memorial High School, which is a private school in Evansville. And I was there for 2 years. I played my freshman and sophomore year. My freshman year went pretty well. I didn't even play freshman ball. They moved me, right up to JV, and I was the starting shortstop on the junior varsity team that whole year. Played for a guy named Chris Schaefer. He actually, pro ball experience. Yeah, good, great dude. Like, love that guy. Played for him the whole year. Played pretty well. I don't remember stat wise. Like, I just know I played good defense and hit fairly well. Ended up getting, I think, moved up to varsity, but just to dress, like, at the end of the year. Like, it wasn't where I was going to get in or anything, but to dress. Going into sophomore year, I played for a guy that he's a Hall of Fame high school coach. I don't know. I don't want to sit here and like bash him, but we just didn't see eye to eye. He kind of was.
You don't have to get along with every coach along your career, man.
Kind of old school mentality where his ways of teaching were like embarrassment and would.
I get you. Demoralizing people, putting them down, shame.
Yeah, and just flat out, making you, almost setting an example of you whenever you would, screw up. And it just wasn't me. And so
I hate that old school coaching mentality. I deeply hate that.
Yeah. And so my whole sophomore year, I played scared to death, didn't want to make a mistake.
Yeah.
I was changing everything about my game. I pretty much became a robot. Changed the way I fielded ground balls, the way I threw, the way I hit. And so it just wasn't me. And there were numerous occasions during that year where, I would make an error at shortstop, which that's going to happen. And I remember vividly, and this is where, kind of, it shows you how much someone's actions, which, maybe he didn't see it like this, but it just shows how much it affected me. Cause I remember like it was yesterday, made an error at shortstop, came in, he didn't say a word to me. I went back out to the field the next inning. Our pitcher towed the rubber, got ready to throw the first pitch. He calls time and subs me. Like, so I have to run off the field in front of everyone.
Oh, just to embarrass you.
Yep. Just to show, like, you made an error. That's why you're being taken out.
Yeah.
That if that says anything, like, that's the type of stuff that he did.
Yeah, that really kind of encompasses the what we're trying to say about him. That gives me a good picture.
Yeah, and that was at Bosse Field, which historical ballpark in Evansville, Indiana, in front of a very, very large crowd. And I remember, I'm in the dugout, like, have my hand in my glove, like bawling my eyes out because I'm just mortified.
Right.
Similar occasion later on in the year, swung at a bad pitch in the dirt. It was an 0-0 count. Swing at this pitch, 0-1. He calls time, proceeds to just rip my ass like in the box, and then subs, like pitch it. 0-1 count.
Man. Yeah. So
it was just like, and I haven't told a bunch of people this, but the only people that probably know this are, my parents. I was ready to quit. Like, I was ready to quit baseball as a sophomore in high school. Like, that's where I was at because I wasn't playing well. I wasn't having fun. I was miserable, like just flat out miserable. And so, some different things, happened. And, my dad was, one that could tell like things were not going well at Memorial. Like, there were some other stuff that, we'd be here all night if I talked about it. Some other stuff in other sports that weren't really, politics played some issue in some of it. And my dad
sounds like it was time for a fresh start for you.
Yeah. And so my dad could see the writing on the wall. And my mom wasn't working. Like, she ended up having to stop working because of some medical stuff. And then my dad lost his job. And so, they kind of sat me down and they're like, we could pay to send you to this school, but we don't think you should go back. Like, if you're okay with it, it might be good to have a fresh start. And I was all for it. I said, let's do it. Yeah. And so I moved in with my dad. He lived in North District. my dad graduated from North, and I went to North, and I was like, I'm just going to play basketball. I'm going to play baseball. It's going to be a fresh start, and it was the best decision I ever made.
Love it.
Love it. Found my love for everything again. Like I got to be me, and ended up joining. Obviously going into my senior year, ended up becoming a part of one of the best high school teams that I've ever been associated with, for sure.
Yeah.
So played my junior year, was all conference, had an outstanding year. That's when I'm trying to think. I want to say during that year is when Murray State came and started talking to me.
Okay.
And then ended up signing with them early. And then senior year.
So you were signed before your senior year? Oh, cool. That must have taken a lot of pressure off you.
Yeah. And that was kind of the whole plan behind it, trying to play with, just free and easy, not having to feel the pressure of performing. And so, it worked out well. And we had a phenomenal senior year. We ended up making a run in the postseason and ended up going to the state championship and played against Brownsburg, Indiana. They were 34-0 coming into that game.
Yeah.
They had a starting pitcher by the name of Lance Lynn on their squad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Lance Lynn was on that team.
Big leaguer, yeah. I think he's still in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still playing.
Still pitching for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drew Storen was also on that team.
The guy that shot himself, right?
Yeah.
Or no, it's Drew Robinson. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I got that name totally backwards.
Left-handed pitcher.
Yes. Sorry. All right.
Yeah. He was on that team, and then Tucker Barnhart on that team as well.
Yeah. Okay. Man, some dudes.
They were incredible.
Man.
Yeah. Ended up getting beat 6-4 by them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously a pivotal move, change in your life that, worked out for the best. Tell me a little bit more about your recruiting process and how that went. Like, how did Murray State find you? How did that go? Did you talk to any other schools? And then I'd love to hear about your visit to Murray.
Yeah. So what's kind of cool with Murray, and I've talked to Skirka about this a lot. Murray State and Evansville have always, kind of been in cahoots for like baseball. Like Evansville is a hotbed for Murray State recruiting.
Okay.
When we have that alumni golf scramble, a lot of the guys that are there are from the Evansville area or like surrounding areas. Like I met a guy that is from Boonville, Indiana, which is very, very close. And I had, he played for Murray State and I had no idea who he was. And I think we were in the van or whatever. And he just asked me my name, where I was from. And then he told me where he was from. I'm like, holy shit, that's kind of crazy. And so a lot of guys from that area. And even talking to like my dad, my dad, when he was in high school, like he pretty much said, if you were worth a shit in Evansville, Indiana during his time, you went to Murray State. And that's when Coach Reagan was there.
Yeah.
They were playing some damn good baseball. And so I think Murray State was always kind of just on my radar because of that. Like my dad talked about Murray before I was even, getting recruited.
Really?
And so, I think I always had that in my mind. And then Jamie Lightoff, who has been a friend of mine we played on the same team, when we were probably 10.
Okay.
So when he signed with Murray, that was kind of like another, like, oh, wow, that'd be a cool place to go. And he loved it. So that was always a place. Some other teams that I talked to, Wabash Valley, JUCO, talked to them. That was a very, strong possibility. Like that was kind of one of my, things. That was one of the schools that it was going to come down to, in my opinion. And it was more so like I knew I needed to get bigger and faster and stronger. And that was going to kind of going that JUCO route would have given me that time to kind of put the work in the weight room and then possibly go, bigger D1. But
or drafted.
Yeah. And then some other schools like UE talked to me a little bit. USI, like Southern Indiana. got some stuff from Illinois. I think it was not like where I was a high recruit, but I remember I framed it because I thought I was just
cool to be
badass.
recognized by a Big Ten school. Yeah.
Mississippi State. No, this was Mississippi State sent me some stuff.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah. And so I think it was more of like, hey, we've heard your name before.
You're on our radar.
Yeah, it wasn't like, hey, we want you bad. It was more of like, I think we've heard your name or something. But I remember thinking like, yep, I'm going to Mississippi State. But no, like that was probably like the biggest school that ever sent me.
Yeah. That's an
but,
honor.
Yeah. I think who else was Austin P was in the mix.
Yeah.
Trying to think. God, it's been so freaking long ago.
Yes. Did you go on any other visits besides Murray?
Yes, I went to visit Austin P, Wabash, and then I think Murray.
Okay.
The rest of them were kind of like, eh.
How was your visit to Murray? What do you remember?
My visit to Murray was it was fun. So Light Off was my host. Just obviously we had that connection. I think the very first thing we did, whenever I was there, we went to the baseball house, which former North Husky grad Alex Stewart. I'm not sure. Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I think he was around a little bit when I showed up, but he ended up going on and playing a little bit of independent ball. A really good third baseman, right? Is that? Do I have that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Third baseman, switch hitter, dude.
Yeah.
Stewart could ball.
Yeah, he was a baller.
Yeah, he was a good ball player. So he was there. So that was cool getting to see him. I remember we went to Lightoff's house for a little bit and like pre-gamed. That's where I met Charlie Wade for the first time.
The Bro King, Chuck Wade. Man, what a legend. Love that guy.
Yeah, made a dynamite first impression. I thought, God, this guy's awesome. Like I remember him taking a huge drink of like a half gallon of whiskey, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like I'm sitting there thinking, I hope I don't have to do that.
That's terrific.
Yeah. So I met him, met Hudson, met Lincoln Kent, and like kind of similar. And I think that's what I would always try to do when, recruits came, and like what you were talking about earlier, like everyone was so nice to me and like kind of made me feel a part of the team.
Yeah.
Just a recruit. And that's
a great way to put that.
It goes such a long way when they include you in things and they're making you feel like you're already on the team.
Yeah.
And that and once you feel that way, it's almost like, well, shit, maybe this is where I need to go.
It's where I'm supposed to be. Yeah.
And so, I just remember everyone was super nice. We went to, I can't remember which frat it was, but, we went to a frat party and, there was a lot of drinking beforehand. I was like completely gone because I was just this high school kid that wasn't, a wily veteran in this.
Trying to hang with the big dogs.
Yeah. And I remember we're at this frat party and I'm not going to go word for word to keep it somewhat clean, but I'm on the dance floor and I'm dancing with some college chick, and out of nowhere, this dude taps me on the shoulder and I turn around and he's sweating profusely. He's wearing like an American flag bandana. And I'm pretty sure he might've had his shirt off, and it's Hunter Moss.
Terrific.
And he said, he is gone. And he looks at me, he goes, "You that baseball recruit?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I play baseball." I'm like, "Awesome, man. What's your name?" "Doesn't matter. If I punch this dude behind me, you got my back?" And I'm like, wait. And before I could say another word, he turns around and just cold cocks this dude behind him. And he goes, "You ready?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not."
No, I didn't sign up for this.
So the next thing I know, I'm in this like
brawl
waylay of just fists flying everywhere. And all I'm doing is I'm just cheap shotting people like left and right, like, trying to like stay out of harm's way. But yeah, that's a
memorable visit, buddy.
Oh, dude, it was That was crazy. And I remember telling Moss about it and asking him, do you remember that? He said, I have no idea what you're talking
No
about.
way. Yeah, right.
And he said, he goes, it doesn't surprise me.
That's true. Hunter Moss was actually my golf partner on this last trip, and I had never met him before. What a great guy, man. I had a really good time getting to know him. Shout out to Hunter Moss.
Phenomenal, dude. Floss. Floss could hit back in his day too.
Yeah. All right, man. I've got a few. We're going to start getting into now we're going to start bouncing around to some funny, and we're going to come back serious, but I want to open it up with a nickname game. Okay. Are you ready for me?
Yeah.
So there's tons of nicknames of guys that we played with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just going to run through some of them. And when I get to one, I'm going to ask you to give me where the nickname came from. Okay. And this is your opportunity to plead the fifth. Okay. You ready? Yeah. All right. Jason Payton was Big Murm, right? He had a heart murmur, right?
He did. That makes it sound terrible.
It does. It makes it sound like we were mocking this health condition, but I don't know how it happened. But
we're a bunch of Neanderthals,
right? Chad Allen his nickname became Chud because love that guy. He wasn't the brightest. Chud seemed like a more fitting name than Chad. Charlie Wade was Chuck. He was the bro king. Seth MacFarlane was meaty. He was a big old meaty boy. Leaper was Creeper. I somehow became the boss. Percani was Sauce. Monster, Cheeseburglar. I always thought it was funny how we kind of referred to it as Murphy State. That kind of became, instead of Murray, as like it was a play. What I thought it was a play on people didn't know who we were. Like you go to where? Murphy State.
Oh
yeah. KT was Coach Mac's son. D-Rock, Hamburglar. There was a nickname that we're not going to go into that was for a male cheerleader. His nickname was Gigi. And then here's the nickname that I need you to tell me the origin of this story. Why is Mark Harmon's nickname Hammer?
You ever seen The Longest Yard?
Yes.
Okay. So in that movie, Stone Cold Steve Austin, let's backtrack a little bit. Adam Sandler's trying to recruit the football guys. They're in the prison system, for those that aren't aware about this movie, trying to recruit ball players in the prison system to play the guards. He's in the process of recruiting players. He goes and talks to Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't know what his name was in the movie.
Right.
But Stone Cold's in the shower while Adam Sandler's trying to recruit him. And they're talking, and he said, Stone Cold's talking about, playing the guards, and he said, so we get to tackle him. And he says, or you can hit him over the head with that hammer. And while he's looking down at his genitalia. And so, Harmon, we spoke on it earlier in the baseball locker room. Guys shower. It fit.
And there we are. That's the cat's out of the bag. It's not because he put in monster dips all the time. Anyway.
I feel like I explained that very PG rated, I guess.
That was eloquent. That was downright eloquent how you put that. I wasn't sure where you were going with that, but you really brought it home in a really PG way, and you could have made it so much less PG.
Oh, absolutely. We're keeping this family friendly.
We are talking about new things on the post-game spread these days, guys. Anyway, moving on. That was perfect. Daniel Flick, talk about him for a sec. He was kind of your roommate for a couple years. He was your boy from Evansville.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Daniel Flick was this guy that wasn't on the team, but it almost felt like he was. Always around, great guy, funny, hell of a Mario Kart player. There's a really funny story in Murray State lore about him booping people down at Spiders. Do you think Daniel Flick, when do you think was the last time Daniel Flick booped someone?
Oh, I'm sure it probably had to have been this week.
His boop game is strong. It always was. Yep.
He just moved to Evansville.
Did he?
Yeah, not Evansville, Newburgh, but very close. And because with his wife, who is a doctor,
right? Yeah,
they've been all over the place. And they just recently moved back, and I've been talking to him quite a bit. We're trying to work out some schedules to get together. So I will have to ask him actually that question.
And just if you guys didn't hear it, in the West Cunningham story, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but there was a place in Murray, we'll get to it, called Spiders, and it's just famous. It's just this place where people would go, and it's just a bar. But Daniel had a bunch of drinks one night, and he went into this circle of foreign exchange students, and as Wes said, not in a malicious way, not in a mean way. It was really kind of cute, honestly. And he just started walking up to these exchange students and started booping them on the nose one by one. Boop. You get a boop. You get a boop. You get a boop. All the way around the circle. And they're just standing there not knowing what's happening. And then he just walks away. And then I think the rest of the weekend, it was just everyone was booping each other. And now it's become a thing. It's a thing in Murray State lore, booping.
You wonder what those foreign exchange students said to each other after he walked away, because completely dumbfounded.
Right.
And then you wonder if maybe they thought that was some sort of American tradition. You know that they had to have looked it up as like, what does this mean?
This is so confusing. Right. Okay. Moving on. This is a funny one too. I pulled over a couple questions from Wes's because they apply, because you guys were in the same time period. What drove your hunger? Was it Victor's? And what was your Victor's sandwich? And we'll go on Victor's a little bit.
Oh man, Victor's definitely did not drive my hunger.
Why don't you tell us about Victor's?
So it was I don't really know how to describe it. It's like a wannabe Jimmy John's, or
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
But it's not. It was not good. Like I don't remember it being good even when it was fresh. I was not a huge fan, and I remember I wasn't one of the ones that made the mistake of getting a hot sandwich, or
oh god, yeah,
because that was just a disaster. I think something bland like a turkey, like a club or something, and how do you fuck up a club?
So for you guys you're like, what's he talking about? When we would go on road trips, we would, before we would leave, Coach Mack would take our order for Victor's, which was a Murray establishment. And, you would get your sub or whatever, but it would sit on the bus the entire day. Like we would bring it with us wherever we went, wherever we traveled to, and you would get to eat it 12 hours later or whatever it was. So it was terrible by that time. It was just like a melty mess of like, not good.
Just melty goo.
Here's your goo sandwich. Yeah.
Do you remember who it was that had the Philly cheesesteak?
I can't recall.
Because do you remember what that sandwich looked like at the end of the day?
Oh my! I mean, a nightmare. I mean, Philly cheesesteaks are messy when they're first. You get them hot and fresh. I mean, geez. All right, moving on. I always loved your roommates at Murray Place, a special place. Tell us a little bit about those guys who you lived with at Murray.
So yeah, my Murray roommates, it was me and the three Daniels. Daniel Calhoun, Daniel Miller, and Daniel Flick.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool that you brought Flick up, because he never played, like he was not on the Murray State baseball team. But he was with us so much that he just started telling people, he was the either bullpen catcher or like third string or fourth string catcher. And so obviously everyone was just like, okay, like,
yeah, sure.
He is. But no, myself, Calhoun, and Flick were all friends from Evansville. So we were buddies in high school. And so that just, made sense to be roommates. And then I don't even remember how Miller – I want to just say that he needed a roommate. And so we were like, hey, come on.
Yeah, come on with it. Yeah.
But Miller was interesting dude. He was, good dude. Super, super, super smart. But man, when he would drink, he was just a different cat. I don't really know what to say about Miller. He's almost an enigma. It's just like he's there and then he's not.
My favorite Miller story is his Hamburglar thing. He had this immaculate Hamburglar costume he would wear every Halloween and just like pass out on people's couches for weeks at a time. And oh man, Miller.
But yeah, it was honestly loved my roommates to death. Flick actually got his dog while we were in college, so that was
Ozzy.
cool.
What a great dog.
Came the team dog.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, it was cool, man. Like lots of good times. I feel like our place and your guys' place were the spots.
100%, yeah. So we lived in Murray Place too. My roommates, Sella, Lucas, and Leaper, and the building next to you. So I mean, I think it was the same apartment, but just on the other side or something like that. Maybe it wasn't, but yeah, buildings right next to each other. A lot of coming and going back and forth. A lot of Mario Kart. A lot of parties. Those are the places people congregated, and it was cool that those were kind of the central points.
Yeah, a lot of shenanigans for sure.
A lot of shenanigans. Okay. This is a funny one. I believe this was it Wes? Okay. So everyone knows, or not everyone knows, they're going to know now, but you are essentially the one who got Calhoun to Murray, right? Didn't you tell them like, hey, we got this pitcher. He's good. Come basically, or, check him out.
Yeah. So Coach Y was the main recruiting guy, for me. Like that's who I had all my contact with whenever I was going through my recruiting process. And I had signed early with Harmon. Actually, Harmon was another early signee. And okay. I'm not sure if you even knew this. So Harmon and I actually were supposed to be roommates.
Didn't know that.
We were roommates. And so our visits, like when I went on my visit, like I was telling you about, Harmon was there.
Okay.
We went our visits together, and we were supposed to be roommates. And man, I was a huge dick for this, but whatever. It is what it is. So like you kind of alluded to, went through the recruiting process. Out of nowhere, Coach Y one day said, "Hey, Tio, your high school team, y'all are pretty loaded, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You guys have any good left-handed pitchers?" And I said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, my best friend, Daniel Calhoun, he was getting looked at by Cincinnati, but it fell through, and he doesn't have a place to play." And he said, "Why don't you send me his number?"
Just like that. That's hilarious. Daniel Calhoun went on to get drafted and is like a Murray State all-time great pitcher.
And so I'll be damned if I want to say it might have been 2 days later. Why came and watched Daniel. He threw pretty well. And then that next day or something, Daniel goes, "Bro, I'm going to Murray State." It was just like, oh, cool. And so then I had to tell Harmon, like, "Hey, man, and what makes him – you'll have to have Harmon tell this story sometime, because what made it even funnier was like this was when, AOL Instant Messenger was still cool.
Yeah.
And I got on AOL Instant Messenger, and that's how I told Harmon that we weren't going to be roommates anymore.
Sorry, bud, you're out.
I IM'd him. I was like, "Dude, I'm sorry, but my best friend from high school just signed with Murray, and, I have to room with him." And he was like, "Oh, I get it." I think he probably cried.
The second part of that question is, I think this is from Wes. So then he said, you obviously got him there. Do you regret having told Coach about him? Because then you had to live with them for 4 years after that and deal with them.
It's funny Wes brings that up, because there have been times for sure that I was like, why did I do this? What the heck was I thinking?
Tell me.
My dad still talks about this. When we moved into our dorms, moved into Franklin, which you never even had to deal with that.
No, I didn't.
Oh, that place was disgusting. Just awful. So we're moving into our dorm, and I want to say we were moving my stuff in, and Calhoun was there, like with his parents. And then I think my dad was like, "Hey, let's go to Walmart and get you some food to keep in the dorm, some water bottles, all that kind of stuff." And so I was like, "Okay." So I told Calhoun, I'm like, "Hey, we're going to go to Walmart, get some stuff for the dorm. You should get some stuff to bring in here too. And then we could just like split it." And he was like, "Okay, that sounds good." And so we left, we come back, and I've got, granola bars, chips, water bottles, like Gatorades, all this stuff, and like hauling stuff in. I shit you not, dude. Calhoun, he brings his contribution to our dorm. He bought a box of moon pies. One box of moon pies, and he said, that's what we're going to do.
He also told me, he wanted me to ask you this. He said, how many times have you watched Dawn of the Dead since college?
None. I watched it way too many times in that dorm.
He said he would watch it literally every day, and that you, by the end of the year, like hated it deeply.
Dude, it was terrible. And he would pick a movie because we had a TV in the dorm that, and this is just showing our age again. The TV that we had in our dorm was a VHS combo? And DVD combo.
Combo, baby. I had one of those too. Isn't that funny?
I brought like a bunch of movies, and I'm trying to remember. I don't think we didn't have a ton of channels. It's not like we had like DirecTV or anything. Yeah. So I don't remember there being like.
Yes, you watch movies.
Yeah, basic cable. So Calhoun would just watch movies all the time, and he watched Dawn of the Dead. It was like a month straight where he was wherever he left off to go to sleep or to go to class. That's where we'd start it as soon as we got back to the dorm.
That's great.
It's a weird movie to watch.
Right. That is a strange one to play on a loop, right? But does that not fit with Decal? He is the poster boy for goofy left-handed pitcher. That doesn't make sense, but everyone loves, right? That's him.
100%.
Yeah. So this is perfect then. Let's move right into this. I cannot wait to hear your take on this. We're going Decal balcony death story right now. We're going to open this one up. This is absolute Murray State lore, legend. Could have gone very dark. Decal could have very easily been, paralyzed or dead. So let's. Do you want to tell it?
I can if you want me to.
Please do. Take it.
I had a front row seat for it.
Yeah.
So,
this is Daniel Calhoun.
Yeah, Daniel Calhoun. For the listeners out there, as Blake and I alluded to earlier, we lived in Murray Place Apartments. It was 3 stories. Blake's group, they lived on a 3rd story, as did we. Our 2 spots were usually the party spots, and at times there might have been some occasional people that would come to our parties and get a hold of, alcoholic beverages that might perhaps not be 21. That maybe could have happened here.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. Allegedly.
Yeah.
And Calhoun was, as dumb as he was, that was one of the things that he actually was concerned with. Like, he legitimately would be on the lookout for that. He didn't want people being in our apartment, drinking, getting all drunk that were underage.
Sure.
Absolutely. I agree completely.
Yeah.
Well, Calhoun figured out that one of the easiest ways to get underage kids out of our apartment and to go somewhere else would be to yell out the cops were coming. Mm-hmm. Everyone else in the party knew that Daniel used this play quite a bit. And so everyone else would kind of, follow along or follow suit.
Yeah.
Well, most of the time he would just say, "Hey, cops are here." And then kids would just, scatter. And that did the trick. One time Daniel got, really in depth into this role. It was like he went head first into this, this acting mode of the cops are here. And alcohol may or may not have been a factor at this time. But we were out on the balcony and the party was getting, pretty crazy. And, it was getting a little packed. And he said that, he had a feeling that there were some underage kids in there. So he yelled out "Hey, cops are here." And no one moved. And he was like, "I'm serious. The cops are here." And so then that's when he portrayed that he needed to jump from the balcony because the cops were there. Well, what had happened when he pretended to jump, our balcony railing was slick, and he actually slipped off the top and To this day, I don't know how this happened, but
It defies physics on so many levels.
it really does. Instead of falling to the ground and possibly killing himself or paralyzing himself, somehow his body finagled its way into this, like, I'm giving you this, I don't even know, like this C shape, and he fell under the, like, to the balcony below us,
Right.
where his back hit, and then he fell like forward
Into their balcony.
Where
this was the football players, right? This was like Nico and them.
This was, yeah, Nico. And they were sitting out on their balcony drinking a beer, and then Calhoun falls from above and then lands in their little powwow. And I look over the balcony and I'm just like, what happened?
Is he dead or where is he?
Well, and of course I'm looking on the ground, like, where's his body?
Right.
Is he in the bush? Like,
this guy teleported. Where did he go?
Did his body disintegrate on impact? What happened? And finally, like, I hear Nico go, T.O. And I, like, kind of peek my head down. He goes, in other language, WTF. And I'm just like, I have no idea, man. And so I said, is he down there? Yeah. And so I ran down the stairs and go into their apartment, and Calhoun is laying on their patio telling me how bad his back hurts.
Man.
Yeah. To this day, I have no idea how that is possible.
Every time we all get together, it's a story that gets told and everyone's laughing, but it could have gone so terrible. Like, we could have been having a funeral. We could have been having, like, this guy is a paraplegic, and now, like, we're doing fundraisers for him, and he goes on to get drafted and, play pro ball, and, like, life is crazy, man. Crazy.
And, like, when I tell that story, people give me this dumbfounded look, and I can't give them any reason as to how he did it. I don't know. I think it was like, when they say, like, when you have these drunk driving accidents and these people that are so hammered walk away from it unscathed because their body's just like this, like, lava lamp of sorts.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's where he was at.
Oh, well said. If I ever get to run across Nico, I'd love to hear how he tells it, and, like, the reaction of just this doofy pitcher falling onto their balcony, and they're just sitting there like, what the?
I would love to get his perspective on it too, because I don't think I've ever asked him.
We got to. Okay. That was terrific. Moving on here. This is from one of the boys. All right. Who was your favorite locker buddy, and why was it D-Hill? Dude, D-Hill is, like, my favorite at coming up with questions. And I do think I didn't even play with this guy, but, like, I feel like he was my teammate, and it's weird. It's like a weird connection like that. But just love him. He's hilarious, a great heart. Love being around him. All right. Why was it D-Hill?
I don't even think we were locker mates.
I don't think so either.
But I'll, for D-Hill's sake, I will say, because he is charming and stunningly handsome.
There we go. I love that. Okay.
So I actually do think my locker mates, you were super close.
Yeah, I was 6.
Yeah, 2.
And then Tiki.
Tiki was close. One year it was like Seth Hudson was really close to me, and then I remember KT always being really close too.
KT was to the left of me. He was number 5. So it was KT, me, Tiki, and then it would have been number 8 was Coach Max. So there's no one there. Was there a 9? I don't think there was.
There was a 9.
I remember. I thought it was just Tiki and then you, and then I don't know. Those were my core dudes who I always, like, be laughing with, and, like, these are my locker buddies.
If there was a 9, it doesn't.
I don't remember. Yeah, sorry if you were number 9. Yeah.
Oops.
All right, moving on to more serious stuff. Backstreet Boys are in sync.
Ooh. Man, it's hard to go against Timberlake.
JT is just iconic, Got to.
He's still relevant too.
Still is. Okay, this is a good one. Hammer said this. Who was your favorite and least favorite pitcher to face in inter squads at Murray? And I always thought that was fun too, because you get to see these pitchers over and over, and you knew their pitches, and they knew your blueprint on how to get you out. So it was an interesting cat and mouse game.
Yeah. Um, this is going to be, it's going to sound crazy because he dealt in the fall, but I'll give my reasoning behind it. My favorite person to face was Decal because I knew every pitch he threw. I knew what it did. I knew his tendencies just from and to give a little backstory for those that don't know, Daniel Calhoun and I have been friends since we were roughly 8 years old. Like same team, pretty much all growing up, and then playing, high school ball together, college ball together. Like I know that dude like the back of my hand, and so every tendency, everything he did on the mound, I knew, and so I would always rake off of Calhoun. The other one, and I hate saying it because it just makes me feel bad, but like Brian Baldini. Baldini would feed me fastballs, and I was a fastball hitter. And
Daddy was hungry.
Dude, I would annihilate them.
Is there anyone you didn't like facing, like that just kind of ate you up?
Dude, Sauce was nasty. Sauce made me look
Sauce was nasty. Yeah, Saucy was nasty.
Saucy had some nasty two-seam, arm side run.
He did.
This was before your time, but Kalen Gibson.
Remember the name, yeah.
Kalen Gibson threw a very heavy ball.
Okay.
So even if you felt like you barreled it up, it was like hitting a bowling ball.
It is a weird phenomenon how some pitchers, it just, even playing catch with people, like there's light balls and heavy balls, and like they could be the same velocity. And I can't totally explain it. I'm sure there's, stat guys out there that could, but totally.
I have talked to so many people about that phenomenon in baseball, like heavy ball.
Can anyone explain it? Can you explain it?
I cannot explain it.
It's one of those things. Yeah.
I've coached kids that throw, mid 80s, but when it hits a catcher's mitt, it sounds like a shotgun went off. And I mean, It's just a heavy ball, and guys don't center them up. And you sit there and you wonder, like, this guy's throwing straight. He's throwing mid 80s. Like, how is he doing it? It's just, I don't know. But Kalen Gibson was one that was always tough. Trying to think who else. Those are two that stick out.
Works. Yeah. Before we move on, I made a note of this, and this might be me being sensitive or whatever, but it's a common theme when everyone gets together, and especially between Decal and Harm and Hammer. A lot of people like to, rip on Hammer. He gave up some long bombs back in the day, right? And that's like kind of one of the funny things. And it's like the only time we ever talk about Harmon as a pitcher, it's kind of like we're shitting on him a little bit. But I want to take 1 second here to say that, while his career was kind of up and down at Murray, he had some good times and some bad. I think Mark Harmon was a good pitcher, man. Like he was, his fastball was kind of straight, but he was about a 90 guy, and he had an absolute wipeout changeup that was filthy. Not the best breaking ball, but I remember him absolutely dealing against UK one time and like battling them deep into a game, and he should have got the victory. I think we ended up losing, but I just wanted to he always gets shit on. I just want to say, Hammer, you were a good pitcher, man, and you had good stuff. And while it's funny to crack on you, man, I got your back too. So a little bit of flowers for Hammer there.
Absolutely. I want to say that game you're talking about was at Brooks Stadium.
It was. He was dirty.
Dude, he threw lights out that game.
Yeah, it was like 7 or 8 innings of beating like a top 25 team in the nation.
Yeah, because they were very good that year.
Yeah, they had Colin Cowgill, who went on to play pro ball or in the show for a while.
Yeah.
And okay.
I'll be honest with you. I think before Harmon had his injury, he would have been, I think pitching numbers wise, he could have been up there with some of our best. Like I
100% agree. I think his career got kind of, went sideways after that, but talented guy.
Yeah. I think it affected his, his delivery. I think it just, kind of made things just a little off. And, I think he lost some velo.
Yeah.
His changeup was still always disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the injury, if he stays healthy, I think he's way up there for sure.
Love that. Perfect. Okay. I don't totally get this one, but some of the guys were laughing about it. What would you do today if you got a J.C. Penney shopping spree gift certificate?
Oh my
What we got?
All right.
So let me just say, there wasn't much in Murray. Like, it's pretty much a college town, and there was like a J.C. Penney and a Walmart, and that was about it.
Yeah. So I feel like a horrible human even telling the story, but whatever, it is what it is.
You don't have to. If you don't want to tell it, don't tell it.
Let's just roll with it.
Okay.
So if you were on like a lot of, I guess this is how it worked, but if you were on like a ton of like financial aid,
yeah,
and then like whatever, they would give you these basically like gift certificates or like vouchers to go purchase clothing and purchase like school supplies. And I got them because like I told you before, like my mom like wasn't working medically, and then my dad had lost his job, and so like they weren't making hardly anything. But my grandparents obviously pretty much supported me financially, like with everything. And I remember I got that stuff, and so here I am driving Avalanche on 24-inch rims to go get my free clothing. Like, it's ridiculous. And yeah, I felt awful, but I remember taking like as Calhoun went, and then like I got to the point where I would ask people like, "Hey, what do you want?" and I would just grab them some stuff.
That's good. Okay, I appreciate that. It's a stand-up move there.
Yeah,
stand-up move.
There was no reason why I should have gotten that.
Okay, this is fun for me. We got a couple Mario Kart questions coming up here, buddy. Okay. But actually, no, we have time. We'll go. So Mario Kart is so ingrained in Murray State lore and what we did. We would a lot of times at our place and yours. We would do Mario Kart before we went out. When we came back from the bars or parties, it was just really fun and it got competitive. And there were some absolute dogs, playing some Mario Kart. So let's start off with, who did you race with?
I want to start by saying I was not one of those dogs.
Neither was I.
I was so bad at Mario Kart. Usually if I played, I was more of like the last person to get to choose because I wasn't going to win. So they were more of like, they would pick their guys and they're like, "Hey, T.O., just pick whoever you want." But if I would have gotten to choose, I liked Yoshi. Never got to choose him though because I wasn't.
Everyone wanted Yoshi.
Yeah, I wasn't one of the good ones, so I was always ended up with like Wario or something.
Nobody wanted Wario.
Yeah, I was like, and that fit me perfectly because he's just like this little turd, and that's how I raced.
Murray State Mario Kart racing is the one time in life where drunk driving is encouraged and accepted. I just, who do you think are the top 3 racers in your time period at Murray?
Dude, I think you've got to go Calhoun for sure, Harmon for sure.
Yep.
And see, I always thought you were good.
I was always fighting for like a third place, but Flick was really good. I guess he wasn't on the team, but I want to consider him. Pettit was good. Yeah, but definitely Hammer and Hammer and Decal, I believe, were like those dudes, right?
Yeah. Those are the ones that I remember for sure. Like I remember Harmon, Calhoun, Flick, and then you were good. And then I remember Pettit would win races, but then it was almost like that they would just kick him off. Like if he'd win a race, they were like, "All right, Pettit, you're done."
Okay, I'm going to do one more before we switch over time-wise here. So tell me about your walk-up music, what you chose, and why.
Okay, so my freshman year, my walk-up song was Here I Go by Mystical.
Oh, man, yeah.
Yeah, and so I actually got that from we had gone to a Colts game, and they would play it before kickoffs, and I remember hearing it, and this is when, this wasn't Lucas Oil, this was like RCA Dome time, and I just remember hearing that song and bumping over those speakers, and I'm like, man, that's a whole vibe right there.
It's a whole vibe, yeah.
So that was freshman year. Sophomore year, I did Ooh Ah by Grits. I heard,
Man, I loved that. That was so good. And that was probably your best year statistically. What wouldn't you say, your sophomore year?
yes, I should have kept that walkout. I'm an idiot.
Man, I remember wanting to do it, being like, I'm going to use that this year. I ended up using something else, and then when you came up to bat, I was like, oh yes, I'm glad someone's using it.
Yeah,
A great intro.
I don't remember how I even like thought of that. I just was like, this would be sick. And so,
Yeah.
Junior year, I did. What did I do? Maybe I think it was the game. Maybe like it was like a hard rock.
Okay.
Time to play the game or something.
And then Bob Marley was your last year, right?
Yeah, Bob Marley was my
Three
last
Little
year.
Birds.
Yeah, I think it was. In which we'll get deeper into this later on.
Yeah,
but
let's save it.
I was trying to, create this Zen type feel going up to the plate.
Yeah, right.
So it was almost a way to like try to calm me down.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I rocked with senior year.
Okay, we're definitely circling back to that. All right, let's go ahead, and I'm going to pause this now, and then I'm going to send you another link, okay?
Okay.
All right, buddy. Do you need to go take a bathroom break or anything?
No.
Okay. And we are going to pause right here and then move on to episode 2.